In 1961, Adam Stein lived in Tel Aviv in the boarding house of Ruth Edelson. And everything was fine until Adam tried to strangle Ruth. She was nice to the guest, but after this incident that happened a little earlier, she had to call the hospital where Adam was to be taken away. In the morning, when Ruth brought him breakfast, Stein greeted her with his bear, but then began to compliment the hostess of the boarding house. However, this did not help. Adam clearly had mental problems that could only be corrected by specialized professionals. The paramedics handcuffed him, but Stein got rid of them on the way. Upon arrival at the treatment center that provided care for Holocaust survivors, Adam was greeted joyfully by the patients. They all went through concentration camps, and this left an imprint on their psyche. Their minds are damaged due to the horrors they have endured. Here Adam felt like a fish in the wild. Everyone knew and loved him. He also had feelings, but not for the sick, but for a nurse named Jean Grey. During Stein's stay in the hospital, a strong and not entirely healthy bond is formed between them. After meeting Arthur in the living room, Adam saw him drop the toy train. The train immediately brought back memories of how Adam himself and his family were taken to a concentration camp. When Stein returned to the clinic, Chief Physician Nathan Gross invited him to join him. Gina volunteered to accompany the patient, and Adam pushed her wildly towards the door, but they managed to restrain themselves. While Stein and Gross were talking, Adam's toe started bleeding and he felt sick. He was taken to the medical department, but later felt better. Stein had performed this trick before, and each time the audience was horrified by what they saw. In 1926, Adam Stein was working in Berlin. He made people laugh by appearing on stage in the most ridiculous situations. His wife, who had recently given birth to a daughter, worked with him. The audience was delighted with his performances. He could make anyone laugh. Hitler's supporters were also present in the hall. For years later, in 1930, there were many times more Nazis at Adam's concerts. This year, Stein's wife was pregnant with their second child. Adam went down into the hallway to do his mind-reading trick and chose a man named Klein as his test subject. He was upset about something, and Stein could tell that the man intended to get excited. Adam even found a bottle of pills in Klein's pocket, which he was about to swallow. Instead, Stein took the pills and then started bleeding in his chest. A moment later, he tore off the soiled clothes, revealing another, now clean, one underneath. This trick made Klein laugh, and he changed his mind about going to the other world. As he walked away, Adam slapped him on the back, leaving a handprint. This time they laughed at Klein, but he had no time for entertainment. He realized that this joker had put him in a humiliating position. In 1936, Stein already had his own circus, where he organized performances. His eldest daughter Ruth grew up, and he brought her to the stage. They had an act together, during which Adam threw knives at his daughter. The audience was delighted, because not a single hair fell from the girl's head. But after the speech, representatives of the National Socialist Party came to Stein and said that he was not allowed to speak in Berlin. Soon Adam and his family were sent to a concentration camp, after which he could not return to normal life for many years. When the bleeding from his fingers stopped, Adam entered the common dining room while the clinic staff were there. He sat down at the table, sniffed the dog, and turned to Gross. He was promised that these four-legged animals would never be allowed into the clinic, but apparently Gross broke his promise. "There is no dog here." Stein followed the scent and found something barking in one of the rooms, covered with a sheet. When he was found at the door of this cell, he was on all fours and barking. Adam couldn't bear to see the dogs, because on the day he arrived at the concentration camp, he met Klein and met his shepherd dog. Klein became the camp commandant and remembered the day Adam saved his life and then laughed at him. Klein ordered to make him laugh first, then the dog. Stein understood that the well-being of his wife and daughters depended on his actions, so he got down on all fours and made friends with a shepherd dog trained to kill Jews. This action impressed Klein, and he took Adam in as his pet. He advised him to walk on all fours, eat dog food, and act like a dog. Stein took every opportunity to claim her family, but Klein pretended there was nothing she could do. He also made it clear that if Adam did anything wrong, his family would suffer. This is why Stein remained silent the entire time he was in prison, and this left a deep wound in his personality. The appearance of a man in the clinic who behaved like a dog threw Adam off balance. He regained the half-breed habits he had under Klein. When he and Gina went to make love alone, Stein demanded that she behave like a dog, and the nurse began barking and rolling on the floor. This made Adam terribly excited, and he took her. Although Stein did not intend to make this speech for the benefit of everyone. At the same time, he stole the keys to the new patient's room from Gina. She noticed this maneuver of her beloved, but still allowed her to take the keys. In the ward, Adam found a man under a sheet who had bitten Stein. This man behaved like a dog. "I see you're a monster." Paramedics saw Adam and tried to pull him out, and when he attacked one of them, he was knocked out. As he loses consciousness, Stein remembers the prison camp. He was Klein's favorite pet. Taking advantage of saving the lives of his wife and daughters, Klein makes it clear that their lives will not be in danger if Adam takes up the violin and plays for the Jews being sent to the gas chambers. Stein agreed to these conditions, and one day, as the prisoners were being led to slaughter, a woman she knew said that Ruth was still alive and in a special place in Germany. This gave Stein hope. When Adam woke up from his meeting with the paramedics, one of Monkey's patients came to see him. He begins writing his autobiography and asks Stein for help. Once finished, Abe will retire on his own. He wanted to ask God why he allowed all the atrocities committed by the Nazis. Adam tried to convince Abe not to do something irreparable, but he was adamant. After this conversation, Stein approached the new patient to see who was hiding under the sheet. He bonded with him, showing him a few tricks, and then pulled the white cloth. There was a boy downstairs who thought he was a dog. Adam began to gradually establish contact with him. He even managed to drag him out of the room, although before that the boy was afraid to even show his face. Stein didn't try to convince him that it wasn't a dog. Adam accepted the fact that the boy was sick and simply began to treat him well. At the same time, he named the boy David. Between conversations with the boy, Stein tried to make the patients laugh, but he did it in his own way. One day he gathered them together, got drunk, and made everyone laugh. After that performance, he came to David and felt bad again. Internal bleeding began. Adam was taken to the medical ward, but nothing could be done. His heart stopped. At that moment, he was reliving the day he met his wife and youngest daughter. They were led into the gas chamber while Stein played the violin for them. The wife was able to tell that Rudd had been taken somewhere. She and her daughter were then executed and burned in a crematorium. That night, Adam howled like a dog as he sat in the pen with the shepherd. When his heart stopped, David felt it and began to howl too. Realizing that he still had someone to live for, Stein came to life. After his recovery, he wrote an autobiography about Abe. He spoke about his daughter, who hid in a hiding place in the basement for 13 months. Abe felt excruciating pain at the thought of what his daughter had gone through. When Stein returned to the room, it turned out that David was allowed to be with him. Seeing the typewriter, the boy asked to try it, and Adam let him. David even wrote a few words. Seeing this piece of paper, Gross realizes that only Stein can heal the boy. However, the rest of the medical staff was not so optimistic. They believed that Gross gave Stein too much freedom, and this could lead to patients starting to treat each other themselves. Gross liked the idea. As World War II came to an end, the Nazis in the concentration camp where Stein was held were running around like cockroaches on sneakers. Klein was afraid that the Russians would kill him because they were already on their way. So he poisoned a shepherd and gave Adam a gun, thinking he would shoot him. However, Stein shot the shepherd dog, which was suffering from the poison it had eaten. In his opinion, she deserved more compassion than Commandant Klein. He then left because his tormentor promised to spare his life because Adam had saved him once. Moreover, Klein made Stein a rich man, but as soon as he became free, Adam became an unhappy man. He survives while millions of other Jews die, but he does not know where Ruth is now. It seemed like he wanted nothing to do with his father. One day, a comrade from a concentration camp came to him and told him that he had found Ruth. She married an Italian and left Germany. At that moment, Stein had a chance to reunite with his daughter, and hope flared up in his soul. Waking up from his memories, Adam encountered David again. This time he made the boy stand on two legs. David gradually recovered. He began to talk and act like a person. Having found his daughter, Stein learned that she had died. Her husband said Ruth was devastated by the news that her father had been Klein's beloved dog all along. While he, his sister, and mother were suffering, he lived in a good house and knew no hardships. At least that's what Ruth thought. The widower took Stein to his daughter's grave and asked him to make him laugh, as he once made the Nazis laugh. He had no idea what Adam had to go through. And at that moment, Stein broke down. He started eating flowers from his daughter's grave, and then began to eat the soil in which she was buried. This led Adam to the clinic, where all the patients were currently dressed in costumes for the upcoming holiday. Stein also dressed up as a clown. He went into the desert to confront his nemesis, Commandant Klein. Make me laugh. This personality was so deeply imprinted in his psyche that it became part of his personality. Klein handed Stein the gun again and told him the only way to get rid of it was to leave. But Adam heard David's screams calling him on the fence of the clinic and chose life. At that moment, Klein disappeared forever. David recovered and found a new family. Stein also recovered from his mental problems. He returns to Ruth Adelson's boarding house to spend the rest of his life calmly and without shocks.